So it's my pleasure to introduce Kay Savetz, Kilo 6, Kilo Juliet Nancy, K6KJ.
Sounds right, sure.
Kay has become a friend and a collaborator. He's helped me empty approximately 400 plus pounds of paper out of my NIJ labs, which delights Tina. More importantly, he has gotten stuff online that has never been online before. My favorite example is Packet Radio Magazine. I was the only one I've ever heard of who had a collection of this set of magazines that ran for about a year and 3 months. And now it's online for everybody to have, not just me. It's all PDF'd. It's text searchable, OCR'd, et cetera. So it's fantastic. And literally thousands of examples just like that. I had this dream of getting stuff online, and I had proposed it just as a wild ass idea to ARDC when I was involved with their grants advisory committee. And unbeknownst to me, Brewster Kale of Internet Archive was way ahead of me, sent in a grant proposal. I got to vote on it, and I said, hell yes. And but it took a while to find exactly the right person. And we did, in fact, find exactly the right person. And Kay, who is not only as a ham, but is an experienced archivist and had the techniques down and has mad ninja skills on making the Internet Archive sit up and play. So, and understands the ham lingo, et cetera, knows almost literally where the bodies are buried. So Kay Savetz, K6KJN of Digital Library of Amateur Radio and Communications.
And missing 2 other facts. An incredibly nice guy. And Kay got to be our house guest last night. And Fiona says you're a great storyteller. You must have talked a lot to her. That's our kid. So just as a side note, if any of you are ever in the Bellingham area or want to travel up, sure, Steve is happy to open up NHJ Labs and take a tour and see what he has and spend an afternoon with us, whatever. So it's all yours.
Thank you.
What's that? Yeah, it's a radio transmitter. Belongs to the cameraman. Oh, yeah? You mean he talks around the world on that? Oh, no, at home he has a high power station. This is just for emergency communication. Disasters like fire, flood, earthquake. Oh, yeah, that's right. Radio amateur operators do serve the public. I'd like to know more. Right to this? Let's see. The American Radio Relay League, Newington, Connecticut, 06111.
Guys, that was filmed on the set of Trapper John MD. That's exciting. We digitized that from a 16 millimeter film, that strip, a little tiny film, and we digitized it. And that's one of the ridiculous number of things you will find in the Digital Library of Amateur Radio and Communications. I am Kay Savetz, K6KJN, and I'm here to talk about DLARC, which is a free online radio library devoted to ham radio, shortwave listening, college radio, and early communications. DLARC is a service of the Internet Archive. If there's one thing I want you to come away from this talk today, the one big takeaway, it's that DLARC is the free online ham radio library. Now, I'd like to get a little more specific, provide more context. So DLARC is the free online ham radio library. Okay, so we get it. What is it really, and how did we get here? You've probably heard of the Internet Archive. It's a free online research library, nonprofit organization founded in 1996 by a rich guy who decided that instead of buying a whole lot of yachts and things, he was going to create the modern Library of Alexandria. And that's what he did. It's called the Internet Archive. It is best known for 2 things. One is the Wayback Machine, right? The Wayback Machine has 28 plus years of web history accessible. When a website goes down or has changed in some way, you can go and see what the web page or website used to look like. And that's what the Wayback Machines does. It's been doing it for almost 30 years. They're about to announce that they have archived 1 trillion web pages, which is absolutely amazing. And there's going to be a big party about that next month. I'll talk about that later. So that's the number one thing that the Internet Archive is known for. The other thing it is known for is an incredible archive of Grateful Dead. It is, the Deadheads love this, the Internet Archive because it has an amazing trove of recordings, live recordings of concerts and that sort of thing. I honestly don't know anything about the Grateful Dead, but people are very excited by this. So that's the Internet Archive. And the other organization I want to talk about is the ARDC, Amateur Radio Digital Communications. It is a private foundation that gives grants and scholarships in support of amateur radio and digital communications, science and technology. In 2023, they gave 69 grants totaling $6.3 million. In 2022, 101 grants of more than $8 million. And this group's grant to the Internet Archive is why the Digital Library of Amateur Radio and Communications exists, and why I'm here today. Besides DLARC, they have some of the other money they have given away. The other grants is for scholarships and museum exhibits, for a historic World War II U.S. Navy ship antenna restoration, for something called Amateur Radio as a Tool for Studying Equatorial Plasma Bubbles. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds zero retries interesting, and it's very exciting. So this is my chocolate.
Peanut butter. Hey, you like chocolate? My peanut butter. Peanut butter. I like chocolate. What?
Two great tastes that taste great together. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Real milk chocolate, delicious peanut butter. Peanut butter chocolate. And Reese's crunchy peanut butter.
So my point here is that the Internet Archive and ARDC are the two great tastes that taste great together. We have the infrastructure of Internet Archive, the servers and the scanning and the people, and the sweet money of the ARDC that is enabling us to create the DLARC library. Also, I really want to know what that, I mean, this could have been a great meet cute between these two young people, and then there's that old creepy store guy like behind him going, hey, look at the chocolate. I don't know. A little weird. Yeah, that guy. I don't know. So you put your chocolate in your peanut butter and you get DLARC. And I'm a better archivist than graphic designer, so don't worry about that. So as of this morning, as of about an hour ago, I checked, DLARC, the DLARC library has 166,000 items of amateur radio, shortwave communications, and things taking up more than 24 terabytes of storage space. Last year, in 2024, we scanned 1.1 million pages of material. Much of that had never been digitized before, had never been online before. Now it is available to you in this research library to look at the history of ham radio and communications entirely for free. It is full text searchable. It includes magazines, books, newsletters from around the world, ham radio conferences, audio and video, and all sorts of stuff. I want you to meet Eliza. Internet Archive has scanning centers all around the world, and one of them is Eliza, and I want to show you Eliza and the cool scanners we have. This is how we can scan thousands of books and magazines and newsletters in a day using these high-speed scanners. 2 cameras crosswise shooting downwards at the books, and the Platon holds down the pages of the books. Eliza changes the page very quickly, and Internet Archive can scan thousands of pieces of material a day. Of course, that's not all ham radio stuff, but a lot of it is partially thanks to Steve, who keeps sending me boxes and boxes of stuff to scan. So today I'm going to talk primarily about stuff in DLARC that supports technological innovation in amateur radio, the stuff that Steve likes to talk about, I think stuff that you're here for. Now, this is a talk I have given to a few different groups. I've given it online, I've given it in person, and normally I'm talking about stuff. So we're going to just absolutely speed through the regular part of this talk so that we can get to the technological innovation in amateur radio. This is we're just going to speed through this. Normally, I would go on and on about the wonderful Hap Holly's rain report, which we have an entire archive of, and Glenn Hauser's DX listening digest, we have 2,300 issues of that, and then a whole bunch of other DX newsletters that we have, some of which literally had never been on the internet before, because some of these newsletters have been around since before the internet, since before people were on the internet, and we managed to find them and get them online. We have 50 plus podcasts, roughly 18,000 episodes of ham radio podcasts. We have slideshows and audio tapes of de-expeditions that information sent us from the California Historical Radio Society. They've contributed all sorts of material about de-expeditions going back to the 1960s. You can hear about these incredible trips that hams have taken to far off places. These are some of the tapes that I have digitized in order to do that. We have summary translations of Russian amateur radio publications going back to the Cold War era. Dexter Anderson would read all these magazines in Russian, and then he would translate them so that English speakers could know what the Russian people were talking about. I'm not talking about any of this. We don't have time. I'm keep going. We got Ham Radio and More. Was a radio show about amateur radio that was on the AM radio from 91 to 97. Hundreds of episodes. Almost all of them have been digitized and transcripted and are full text searchable. You can hear them, you can read them, you can search them. The complete run of Megahertz, a French language magazine covering amateur radio, and also Monitoring Times and Electronic Wireless World and RCA Review and DXing Horizons and VHF Communications and Mobile Radio Technology, all online with permission of the publishers or their public domain, and newsletters from around the world, more than 50,000 issues of newsletters from ham clubs all over the place, going back to the 1920s. I have no idea what this is. Shortwave radio artifacts. This guy, Chuck Vesey, wrote away to shortwave stations back in the 70s and 80s and got their QSL cards and little flags and calendars, and he saved it all and he sent them to me and we scanned it all. So we've just rushed. That was my hour talk right there normally, but we just skipped all over that. Let's get into technological innovation in amateur radio. I'm going to slow down for a minute and merge into the tech innovation lane. So some of the things in the DLARC library that I think will be particularly interest to this group are a complete run of 73 magazine. Wayne Green, the founder of 73 magazine, before he died, donated an entire run of the magazine to the Internet Archive, and he wanted them available for free. And that's what we did. So they're all scanned. You can read every issue, including all of Wayne's crazy editorials and wild opinions. They're all there to read online in their full glory. A complete run of VHF Communications. This was published from 1969 to 2013. It focused on the VHF, UHF, and microwave bands. It's there. If you want a little older technological innovation, it's tech innovation has been happening in amateur radio for a very long time. We have 515 issues of radio and television news, which was published from 1919 to 1959. If that's too recent innovation for you, we can go even older. How about the complete run of the Telegraphic Journal and Electrical Review, which was published from 1872 to 1891, 700 plus issues, all available and searchable. What's that? Morse code? These guys were talking about how to build a battery and how to wire up communications for your train, for your train station, so that you could tell the next station down that the train was going to be late. Wild. We have a complete run of SatFacts, which was a publication covering the world of satellite television in the Pacific and Asia. SatFacts was published from September 94 through August 2004 by Robert Cooper, who was the father of the home satellite industry. I'm going to talk about Bob for a minute. I never met Bob. I feel like I know Bob. This is Bob. Bob is a cool looking guy. I only learned about Bob after he had died. He had saved all, he wrote about communications, about the satellite industry, about the cable industry, about ham radio for his entire career. He published magazines, he published newsletters, he put on conferences. He did all sorts of work in that area for years and years and years, and he saved everything. And after he died, it all ended up in a warehouse in Colorado. And can't believe this was only last summer. I was there with 7 pallets. This is only 4 of the pallets in the picture. 7 pallets of his material. And I got to dig through his life's work and get it all to the Internet Archive to be scanned. And as a result of that, we have SatFacts and Coop's Technology Digest and all of these wild talks that he and others gave at satellite and ham radio conferences going back to the 70s. And we've digitized this stuff off of VHS tapes and U-matic tapes and all sorts of other strange formats. And getting it digitized, and it's all there for you to explore the history of Bob Cooper's amazing life and legacy. Also, last summer, I took another trip to Fair Radio Sales in Lima, Ohio. This is a company that has existed for a long time, sold surplus radios and things. Huge warehouse filled with military gear, all sorts of radios and stuff. And when I heard they were going out of business, I wrote to them and I was like, hey, can I come in and see what the printed material you have and get it into the library? And he was like, sure. So I went out there, and me and 2 helpers went out there for 3 days and went through an enormous room, bigger than this room, of material and manuals, catalogs, military gear instructions, schematics, just rows and rows and rows of this stuff. And we took one of everything and put them in boxes, and you can see there's the boxes. It ended up being, I think it was 250 boxes that I drove to the scanning center. It's been more than a year now. It's been about 15 months, and they're still working on that pile. And we're still adding material that we are discovering in the Fair Radio Sales stuff. So that these are things, once again, which were printed on paper, and you could maybe buy it on eBay, or you could find it at a ham swap meet or something, but they weren't easy to find. They were impossible to search, and now they are digitized. They're available for free. They are searchable. It includes the actual fair radio sales catalog. We have, he published this catalog, and his parents published this catalog for many decades, and we have most of them online, and you can just look at the crazy odd stuff that they were selling. 2 days ago, I was at the Spark Museum of Electrical Innovation in Bellingham. I had never been there before. It's an amazing place, and you should go. It's an amazing museum. I had a great time. But aside from enjoying the museum, they threw me at this wall of material that they were looking to get rid of, and I got to pick through it, and I spent hours going through it, and ended up with 7 boxes of 50 pounds each, which I just shipped yesterday to the scanning center, and all that material is going to get online as well. I didn't take enough as far as they were concerned. They wanted to get rid of all that stuff, and I only took some of that stuff. And so if you want a lot of more material, they really want to get rid of it. The DLARC library also has stuff that you absolutely won't find anywhere else. Henry Ruh published A5 Amateur Television Magazine from 1970 through 1985. We have 42 issues. We have the 8 earliest years are missing. He sent me the material. Actually, he didn't send me the material because when I called him, he was in bed, paralyzed, and had been that way for some time. He was not in great health, but he said he had the material there from his amateur television magazine, and he very graciously said that I could have them. And he managed to get someone, one of his healthcare workers, to box them up and send them to us to digitize, even though that was well outside the healthcare workers' remit of their job. And so we got these wonderful amateur television magazines going back to, I think first year we have is 1978, and those are online now. What else do we have? Packet radio history. This is something we just added in the last few months, the thing that Steve is most excited about. We have added a huge area of packet radio history, which includes packet radio temporary notes. These were a series of informal technical documents distributed by various technology organizations from 1972 to 1983. And their purpose was to share research and experimentation and the development process related to inventing packet radio, the form of digital communications that transmits data in discrete packets over radio frequencies. Before I started doing the searching, there were maybe 5 or 8 of these documents scattered around the internet. They were written well before the internet became a public commodity in 1995 or so. They were distributed they weren't secret, but you only got one if you needed it. You had to be part of the club, the people who were developing this technology. So they were kind of hard to find. I've managed to find a large number of them. I actually don't have the number here, but I think I found more than 100 of these documents. There's another 150 that still need to be found, but now they are searchable online. Also have a bunch of documents regarding AlohaNet, which was a pioneering computer networking system developed at the University of Hawaii, became operational in June 1971, providing the first public demonstration of a wireless packet data network. We have all these documents about the development of that system as well. Taper, our friends at Taper, they've defined innovation in amateur radio since 1981. We have in the DLARC library pretty much everything they ever published. CD-ROMs, packet status register newsletter, manuals and schematics for modems. They had made this stuff available on FTP sites and things, and that were not particularly, I mean, you know, who maintains their FTP site anymore? They kind of fell into disrepair, and I managed to find everything I could, and we made it available in the DLARC library as well. Talk about software. It's not just audio and newsletters and manuals and things. Also have software. You want software for your ham radio software for your Atari 800? I got that. How about your CPM system? Sure, we've got that. If you want to have the original source code in order to run a packet repeater using your CPM system, sure, you can do that because we have the source code software for that. Also for DOS and Windows, if you want to be all modern and things, we can do that. Like DOS is modern. So a lot of software. Ham radio conferences are often the first place innovations are announced and tested. And DLARC has archives of a bunch of ham radio conferences, including the EME conference, Software Defined Radio Academy, and many others. So that's some of the material available in the DLARC library. I have a handout, which you probably have this handout by now, that lists some of the things that we have there. We have a lot of stuff. I've been working at this for 2.5 years now, almost 3 years, and I've managed to find a lot of amazing material. And the fun / frustrating part of this archiving work is for every time I discover something amazing, I also discover something amazing that we don't have, which brings me to the want list. These are things that we know we need. And you can see the current version of the want list at that URL there. But there's all sorts of newsletters and magazines and audio and things that are missing because they were never archived, they were never saved. One of the, what's the name of it? For example, Amateur Radio Trader. You're familiar with Amateur Radio Trader magazine? It was a little rag for buying and selling ham radio gear. You know, if you had an ICOM or a Yaesu, whatever to sell, then you could list it and say, you know, I want it for this much money and whatever. It was before Craigslist, before eBay. It's how some people bought and sold their gear. We have permission to put them all online. This thing was published for a decade or more. We have, I think, 3 issues. The problem was twofold. One, these magazines were not meant to be saved. They were meant to be used for a couple of weeks and then tossed. And also, the paper they were printed on was like 1-ply toilet paper. Just the cheapest pulp that you could imagine. So they didn't last. They weren't kept. They didn't last. So anyway, we're looking for Amateur Radio Trader, for instance. So what have we learned in summary? Let's wrap up. Number 1, DLARC is the free online ham radio library with a lot of material about technical innovation in amateur radio for the past 100+ years. Number 2, you got your chocolate and my peanut butter. And number 3, I want you to use the library. And contribute to it if you want. That is my talk, except for one other little thing. If you like the Internet Archive and you want to see it for yourself, in October, Internet Archive is having its annual event, October 21st and 22nd. On the first day in the Richmond area around the California Bay Area, you can see they call it the physical archive. I call it the warehouse where they store everything. It's really amazing, and there's a party there. And then the next day, on the 22nd in San Francisco at the headquarters, is the annual celebration where there's going to be music, there's going to be dancing in the streets, there's going to be the thing I can best describe as church for librarians. You sit down in the pews, people give these little sermons and talks, and it's like, yay, library, yay, saving data, and there's music and there's fun, and it's lovely. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
I'm going to jump the queue here. And there were three things that I wanted to make note of that Kay didn't touch on. The first one is that the packet radio, as we know it now, was actually invented in Vancouver, British Columbia, just north of here, by a group called Vancouver Amateur Digital Communications Group, who is just about lost to history now, if it weren't for the existence of DLARC. And because of Kay's excellent example, I went off trying to beat the bushes in my circle in this area, trying to find somebody who had those newsletters that they called the packet. And eventually I did. Now, that person did not donate the issues, but they did scan them and they sent them to Kay, and now they are available, and again, this is something that could very well have been lost to history if it weren't for a good place. And one of the coolest parts about DLARC is that it's neutral. It's, nobody doesn't like libraries. Well,
Yeah.
there is an exception, which we just won't get into. But, I can cite the internet, if I said, please donate them to me and I'll put them online, not really. But DLARC, with the proven history of the Internet Archive behind it, it's just pure goodness. A second one is 220 notes, which it just boggles me that nobody has stepped forward with archives of this wonderful little newsletter. Zero Retries, I refer to as a ragtag operation, and 220 notes back in the day about the ragtag 220 band, and the rebels who inhabited that band. There was this whole newsletter just for the 220 band called 220 Notes, and none of them have shown up yet.
Well, okay, so Art has given us permission. It's Art Reese, right?
Right.
He's given us permission to put 220 Notes online. He has them. And it's a matter of getting them. They're in the attic or in the basement or something, and Art has a bum knee or something, and it's he's an older guy, and so we have permission, but that's
so they will probably show
only half
up
the battle
eventually
sometimes. So I'm waiting. I'm fingers crossed.
Okay.
For a miracle cure for Art's knee.
And the last one I'll cite is a newsletter that was basically for the amateur radio industry, the manufacturers and the powers that be and the high poobahs and, league officials, et cetera, called W5YI Report. And Fred Maya, W5YI, was like this consummate Washington insider, and he wrote the most amazing treatise about the FCC, how the FCC was treating amateur radio and what they were thinking and the decision-making behind it. And it's like literally the history of where the bodies are buried on some of the major decisions and the rules changes that were made in amateur radio. And I had called W5YI and they said, the what? We don't do that anymore. I said, well, what about, a bookshelf where all the archives are showed? We don't have one. And then how did it go that you actually did get it?
The Yasmin Foundation had it. We were donated.
Wasn't it a relative of Fred's that had?
Sorry, I can't hear.
Wasn't it a relative of Fred's that had the archive?
Yes, we got some from I believe it was a relative who sent us a bunch of issues, but not a lot. And then a foundation had some of the other issues in digital format. So it was a combination of places. Yeah, but we got some stuff that had never been.
So no one is going to sit down and read all of the W5YI reports, but eventually there will be an AI that will digest all of this and you can ask questions. What happened with, all of the machinations with the 220 to 222 band that got yanked out of amateur radio? And what was the thinking behind giving us kind of privileges in 219 to 220, which is coming back around? So this stuff is relevant. It makes a difference, and it will make a difference in the coming era.
It's amazing to see the contemporary reporting on those things. It's one thing to see, or we could talk about, I don't know, you could, to see what people were arguing about and worried about at the time. Like, why did that happen? In the ham radio and more cassette tapes, the radio show that I talked about.
Gentlemen, we have another question out here.
Okay. For instance, in that those were recorded around the time of the no code. Like, should no code happen? Should we get rid of the Morse code requirements? And you can hear people arguing for hours, one way or the other, about it. And there'd be like it was a talk radio type show. People would call in. There'd be like the pro code episode, and only callers who were pro Morse code, and then the no coders would call in another day. And it's that kind of contemporary history that it's hard to replicate anywhere else.
So fortunately, Kay and I have a high bandwidth connection that whenever I get a wild idea, he talks me down, or said, "Oh, okay, we can do that." So I don't need to consume all the Q&A time. So who else? Greg?
Yeah, two things. So the first one is, now that the archive has really got a lot of great stuff in it, people are more aware of it. Are people voluntarily submitting current things, like from newsletters and conference meetings that are happening in 2025? Do they just give that to you routinely, or do you still have to go looking for it?
I'm having trouble hearing. My ears aren't great. I'm having trouble hearing with this. So are people voluntarily submitting current things?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, sometimes I have to reach out to them and let them know about the project and say, will you let us use your thing? And they say yes, hopefully. And oftentimes people hear about the project from other sources and come to me and say, hey, I have written, I wrote this ham radio book years ago, or I am publishing this newsletter or this YouTube channel, and it would be nice if you archived it, and we do it. So yes.
And the second thing is, you mentioned there's cases where someone might have a lot of great material, but they're not really physically able to get it boxed up and sent to you. I wonder if there's a way to reach out to a local ham club and ask them to provide some help, sort of like, putting the antenna up or taking it down, box up the great material.
Local ham clubs have been helpful in submitting information, in letting me use their newsletters, and giving, I give talks to them for their clubs and things. We did a couple of years ago, something I didn't even talk about was the Manuals Plus collection. Currently, right now in the Philippines, the scanning center there are going through 9 pallets of manuals from this collection called Manuals Plus. And a couple of years ago, we had a bunch of ham club people, volunteers, come out to the warehouse, I'm sorry, the physical archive, in order to help sort the material, the radio adjacent material from the stuff that have nothing to do with the radio, like laboratory equipment and things like that. And so that we could prioritize scanning the radio things. So clubs have been very helpful that way.
One local example is, as they are published, the Surrey Amateur Radio Communications Communicator is going into the archive as it's published. into DLARC. And the Radio Club of Tacoma's newsletter, Loggers Bark, is going into DLARC. You know, pretty much not exactly real time, but you know, it's being archived. And keep in mind that Internet Archive is not just a fleeting online system. They have many redundancies. So it's probably there for, you know, posterity. And that's what they're working very hard towards.
And if you don't trust it to be there in a year or in 10 years, you can download it. You can download everything in DLARC right now. You can do it from the website. You can do it from the command line. And, you know, with this literally one command and a lot of bandwidth, you can download everything that we have ingested, the 30 terabytes or whatever I said it was. And, you know, a little bit of patience. And so if you want all of the W5I reports on your own local machine, okay, do it. You know, run it through an LLM or just read it on your iPad, whatever you need to do.
We have one last question before we need to break for lunch.
All right. Do you think the ARRL will ever make their publications available to the archive? They seem to want to have everything behind their paywall.
Do I think the ARRL will ever make their publications available in the archive? I do not speak for the ARRL, and I think that they enjoy, they are used to their system of providing products and services to their members, and that makes sense to them, and I get that. So they've not super interested in having their stuff in the DLARC library, and that's their right. And I hope that that they will change their mind eventually.
That please give a round of applause. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Did you bring the box?
Sorry?
You bring the box? Sorry, a box. Did you bring?
Oh, yes. I need a cardboard box. Also at the table out there, the DLARC table, there is some free stuff. It's duplicate material that I'm tired of having in my office. A lot of cool newsletters and catalogs and manuals and things. But please take something that's interesting or take it all. And if you have anything that you want to donate to be contributed to DLARC, I'm about to put a cardboard box out there labeled the box, and you can, so there's an inbox and an outbox. So that is all.
Thank you. Thanks very much.